So what up, J Girl Beauties? How are you guys doing this afternoon? Or on this weekend? Anyways, if you guys are new, and if you guys have seen my other videos, welcome back, guys. My name is Janelle. I also do makeup tutorials on my channel. I just did a Venom Halloween look, and my daughter did the Candy Corns Halloween look on my channel. So go check those out as well. If you guys see like pink on here or right here, I just did this look with the little Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star little mirror, the little pig guy. Excuse me. The little pig emoji. And so I did those on my eyes today. And I also did my lips, so there's still pink lipstick on them. So sorry about that, guys, but let me show you the pic that I did earlier. So my lips, if you can see, they had the little pig and the little pig drawing on them. So sorry guys if you see the pink still here or whatever. I just try to touch it up and take it off and touch it up and put face makeup on or whatever. So if you guys see pink like lipstick on top of there, that's why, guys. Don't get mad at me, and don't leave me comments on the bottom there saying that I screwed up. Okay. Anyways, this is a really touchy, hard subject to talk about, but I feel like this is what I need to talk about. Everybody's asking, everybody's wondering, well, why is she talking about something that happened to her in 1991-92, and now it's 2019, and she starts talking about what happened to her as a child, and she got molested. So why is she like bringing this up? Like, didn't you forget about it? Didn't you put it in the past? Didn't you forget, and move on? Well, that's why I'm here to talk to you guys about it. I thought I had put this in the back of my head. I thought I had forgotten about all this stuff. I thought, you know, it wasn't in my life anymore since 1991-92. And it was, and it was in the back of my mind. And it was, I mean, it was blocked. I didn't think about it. I didn't really talk about it really at all, actually at all. But in 2000 and, hold on guys, let me make sure that I'm doing everything right, saying the right years. Hold on. Got to go through my phone, and there's lots of pictures. There's like 5,000 pictures on my photos, and I don't know why. I've been trying to like delete them, but I'm scared to delete the old ones because I'm like, do I have them, you know, where I can get them? So hold on, y'all. Hold on, my J Girl Beauties. I'll be right back. Of 2017, around July, we were on the process of adoption of a young teen, and this is what brought things back. And I didn't know anything about PTSD. I never even knew that people that have went through trauma can have PTSD. Like, that was never in my mind. I never thought of it. I just thought that people that went to the military got PTSD, or the Army, or the Marines, or whatever, you know, whatever people join. I thought just only them, and they were the only ones that got PTSD, and they were diagnosed with PTSD, right? So, had no idea, just went about my daily business. She moved in with us because she had said someone had touched her. So she ran away, and she started staying with her. She was staying with her biological sister at the time, and I went to go pick her up. And when I went to go pick her up, she asked if she could stay here, and I had said yes, you could stay here. I didn't know what was going to happen from there or what, but she was never on the CYFD system, so her and her sister weren't on the CYFD system. Only her other her siblings were. So she ended up staying here, so we had to call the police and stuff, and when the police got here, they asked her, because she was of age to stay with us, and they had asked her, like, she was in her teens, they had asked her if she wanted to stay with us and if she was safe, and she said yes, and they asked us and we had said yes. So the social worker had just told me that, you know, like, instead of her being taken away, that it would be best that we would adopt her. So we started the process. We didn't go through CYFD, and we started the process, and we got an attorney, and we started paying them so we can try to adopt this teen. Well, I don't know. And you guys, this is hard for me to talk about. I had like a whole thing planned out already. Like, I was going to start talking about the times I went to jail for domestic violence and stuff, and there was other things that I wanted to talk to before, but it didn't happen like that. I've already put out some videos already about other stuff that has happened, so those other videos aren't going to be out yet, but I will be talking about them and stuff. But I really feel that this video needs to go out first, because a lot of people, like a lot of my family, are just like, well, why is she talking about this now? Why, after so many years, why are you going to be bringing it up again? Why are you going to talk about it? Just like leave it, let it rest. And it's like, how can someone let it rest when it still affects me? And it affected me, and it affected our relationship and our adoption because of this, because what my uncle did to me at 11 years old. So this is why I'm talking about it, and this is why I started to even talk about my whole story on when he did it, how my parents reacted, and my, you know, other family member. So yeah, I want to talk about it. I want to share it. I want to let other people know that it still is with us forever. It doesn't go away. It doesn't get any easy. It doesn't get any better. It's the same thing, you know, except for I like stopped thinking about it. I didn't talk about it. But then when I was in the process of a young teen coming into my house and living with me, I found out I had PTSD. And this is really hard for me to talk about. I might cry during this, or I might have to stop and cry and then come back or whatever, but I'm going to try my best to compose myself. But it's going to be hard. It's rough. It's something that I wish that I want to have. I wouldn't have had. I wouldn't have got diagnosed with it. I wish that my uncle would have never done this to me. This is really hard for me to talk about, because it just didn't, this didn't just affect me. This affected my whole family. This affected my kids. You know, my twin boys that lived here. This affected the little girl that lived here. This affected my husband. And it was hard for us to go through everything we did, especially me, because I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't understand any of it. I do want to shout out this guy that I watch here on YouTube. His name is G-Man5338. He talks about mental health, and he's helped me a lot to understand how taught me a lot how to understand and what it is and what it does to you, because I didn't know any of it. I will put his link on the description in the box down below. Also, guys, like I said, if you guys are new here and haven't saw my other videos, make sure you click on it. I talk about my background, and then me getting molested by a family member, and then me telling my parents and everything that I endured when I was growing up. And what it made me become, and how I hurt others in the process. So make sure you guys check out those videos as well. So anyways, let's get back to how I found out that I had PTSD, and how this trauma and everything was affecting me, and I was freaking out and not understanding what was going on, what was happening to me. So, okay, so we're in the process. She moves in, you know, she's living with us. We're doing everything we need to adopt this child. I'm going to school. So I started going to cosmetology school, and that was hard too, to be at school and to have my husband be home and be home with her, because we were homeschooling her, so she had online classes. So in the process, we were driving, and let me tell you the story about when we were driving, and it brought me back to a memory that I never even thought and wondered why this was happening to me. So it was me, my husband, and her, and we were all driving. We were driving somewhere. And I didn't know this at the time until after it was done, but it was my memory that I had about this incident was my husband was my family member, and I was his wife, and the person that was sitting behind that car, our vehicle, was me. I started having a panic attack where my husband said that it was the most awfulest thing to see. He said my eyes were rolling back. It seemed like I was just like in a panic. I was scared. And he said he never had seen me like that before. And he said that was the first time that he had seen me like that, and he didn't know what was going on. And he was like, babe, are you okay? Babe, are you okay? And I was just like, I don't even know how to explain it really, but I was like, it was like real, like, sorry guys, I'm saying like too much. You guys are going to be drunk by the time this story time is over. Because you're going to be taking shots as much as times as I says like. So anyways, it was like real as can be. I swear, like it was, I was living on that time and that moment where I used to like, okay, so we would be driving, my family member that did this to me, we're driving, and the mirror was, you know, in the front of me, and I would look at it, and he would be staring at me, and I don't really remember exactly what he was doing or how he was looking at me in the mirror, but I would look at the mirror, and then after a while I would stop because I didn't want to look at the mirror no more. So I would look out the window, and I would turn my head and look out the other way, and then that's when he was doing certain things to me and pulling my hand in front of him while he was there. But my aunt wasn't in the vehicle at the time, I don't believe. And so it was just like that whole thing that happened, it was reality. Like I was there, that time, that place, at that moment, and we were all different people. And that little girl that was sitting in the back seat was me. fuck. After I come into reality and understand that, you know, it wasn't real, like, that was just a memory that brought me back into, like, totally reality. Like, I was at that place at that time. And, I just had to understand and realize that that wasn't the thing that was going on, you know. It was me as an adult, and my husband was beside me, and she was behind me. And I just had to, you know, inhale and relax and calm myself down. And I was just like breathing, you know. And I had to do this, like, for reals. I'm not even joking, guys. I'm not even lying. I'm telling you real life that really happened. This is what I was really doing. I was just like breathing, just trying to contain myself, compose myself, to calm down, to know that that wasn't what was happening at the time. I might have thought it was, but it wasn't what really was going on here. And so I had to try my best too, to try to not think about that, to not try to have that in my life, because it was going to block everything that we all wanted to do. You know, I wanted to adopt this little girl. I wanted to be her mother. My husband wanted to be her father, you know, so I tried to do everything that I could to be able to get myself together. So after I was able to come, you know, be okay and be in reality again, and my husband just asked me, "Are you okay?" And then I told him, and I told him exactly what happened and what I was feeling and how I felt like it was real, and how it brought me back to that specific time in my life that was happening. That's what was going on in my mind. And it was scary. It was the most awfulest thing that I could ever go through, that I never even knew why I was going through it or what the heck was going on with me. Maybe I thought I was like going crazy a little bit, maybe, or what was going on. So I was going to school, like I said, cosmetology school, and I couldn't do it. Like, I was like, I'm not going to be able to, like, go to school and function and worry about what's going to happen, what's going to go on here in my house when you're an adult. My husband's a grown man, and there's this little girl here that's around 13, 14 years old, and I'm going to go to school. And what if something happens, or what if it happens like it happened to me? I can't stay with my husband. I can't be with someone like that, like my aunt did. Didn't like stay married to the guy that I love. Like, he's my best friend. He's my soulmate. When we met and came back together, I was just, I'm in love with him. You know, I love him with all my heart, and he loves me with all his heart. And I just couldn't see that happening. Like, the guy that I love, it's all going to be ruined because of this. Or if he does something like this, I can't be with him. I need to leave him. Like, that's divorce, and that's going to be sick. Like, so disgusting that I couldn't even kiss a guy like that after doing something so disturbing and gross to a little girl. So I was like a prisoner in my own house because I couldn't leave. I couldn't go anywhere because I was always worried about what's going to happen with this little girl and him. And in the process of everything too, they didn't make it easy for me. My husband didn't understand. My husband didn't understand what I even went through when I got molested, when I told my family that it happened and how they acted and what their reaction was. And, you know, me trying to commit suicide, I've thought of it, you know, just like driving down the bridge on the bridge we have out here in Albuquerque, you know, just like driving off one day, I just kept thinking about it and just falling and seeing where my car landed, and I would be dead, you know. There was times where I used to think about getting high and to smoke, to do some hardcore drugs, to just OD, so I would get, you know, not be here anymore. But I never did touch drugs because I had a daughter to take care of that no one else was going to take care of her or raise her but me. So I never got into it, but I would think about it. I've thought about it plenty of times. Like, I see other people doing it and they're still, here. They're okay. So maybe if I do it, I'll be able to take the pain away, but I never did. So yeah, there was times that, like I said, if I would have known that I wasn't going to hell, I would have killed myself plenty of times, but I was so scared to go to hell, so I never did it. I never went through with it. So also when she was living here as well, she was throwing popcorn on my husband's private area, and I had to tell her not to do that kind of stuff. There was a time where she was doing certain things that weren't appropriate either to a grown man either as well. So it made it really hard for me to even survive what we survived for those years that she was here. And so anyways, so I said, what am I going to do? I'm just going to drop out. I have to drop out of school and just forget about it. I know I'm almost done, but there's problems going on there too, so might as well just drop out. And I don't feel like doing it, and I'll just stay home, so I'll be okay. So I won't be having panic attacks and freaking out and worrying about what's going to happen with her being there and you being there, my husband and her. So I went to this place to be able to smoke cannabis, and I went into the office and they give you like a questionnaire, and I filled out the questionnaire, and it was talking about so much things that was like, wow, diagnosed for PTSD. Like, is there certain events that happen that you're like reliving your situation? I was like, yes. So when I talked to the guy, I told him, yeah, this is crazy. Like, I never knew this. Like, I only thought other people got this and not me, like anybody else. And so I smoke cannabis now, and because of this, so it could calm me down and help me not to be thinking about this or worrying about it. So yeah, that's what I had to do. So I started to smoke cannabis so I could calm down and stuff. So like I was saying, my husband didn't understand about someone getting molested. He didn't understand how I could have PTSD, and I guess he used to tell me that I was hallucinating, and I didn't want to hear that. And I don't think anybody wants to hear that, something that you don't even know about. You don't even know that you could even have PTSD, and other people only get it and not you because you weren't in the military. So no, you're not hallucinating. You're not going crazy. You're not crazy. You're not out of your mind. You're not out of your whatever. But I didn't know this, and I don't want to hear that kind of stuff, because like I was saying, no one wants to hear that you're crazy, that it's just all in your head, you're like hallucinating, you're freaking out, when you don't even understand it yourself, and you think that what you're seeing is true. So there was an incident too where we were at Lowe's, and I thought I seen what I seen. And I thought, she had put her hand on him. And I started to see other things when we went to the store, that she was like jumping on him. And like things that I don't think should have been happening, because you never know, So I would say this was going on, this was happening. And they said that it wasn't, that never happened. And they said that I was hallucinating and I was crazy. Well, at the time, you don't want to hear that. You don't want to come into reality that that's what's happening. So I just thought that they were the ones crazy, and I seen what I seen, and that they were lying to me and they weren't telling me the truth. So that made it hard for all of us. That made it hard as well, because I didn't want to believe that. I didn't think, and I didn't know. I thought I was really seeing what I was seeing. I really thought in my mind, in my eyes, I seen what I saw, and I wasn't going to listen to them say that I was crazy and I was hallucinating when I thought I really seen what I seen, And I just didn't understand why they were freaking out and saying that I was like seeing things, when I was like, no, I seen the real thing. And so, yeah, that made it a lot hard too. And we were also going to counseling for all this as well. because they said that we should go to counseling, me and my husband and her, have her in counseling, because we needed to know how to take care of these kind of kids, you know, when they're in their teens and they've had rough lives and they've seen things that normal kids probably don't see, you know, because her mom was addicted to drugs and she was seeing all kinds of crazy stuff that happened before her eyes as well. So it was really hard for all this. She would tell me that she understood everything, but they said I hallucinated and that wasn't happening. So coming to reality, I don't know, but I do know that, I mean, I don't know if that was true or not, but I do know that I seen what I seen at the time, and that was that. So as we're going in this process of adoption, we go to counseling and all the counselors are like, you need to be careful, because I've seen a lot of, you know, kids that have ruined a marriage, and the little kid is doing things and wanting to be, you know, to do things to the husband, and then it's a big mess and their marriages break up and they get divorced because of that. I had to see that. I had to understand that. I seen the way she was. I seen everybody telling me, because a lot of people knew this girl as well, and then I would talk to them and they would tell me, you need to be careful with her because she's gonna do this and that, and she seems like this kind of person. So it was really hard to hear all that as well too, and then to see the things that were going on here. So like I said, when she threw the popcorn in my husband's private area, the dog was eating it off of his lap, and she thought it was funny. She laughed. I didn't say nothing the first time. She did it again, and I don't think I said anything. And then the third time I told her that she needed to stop. So she stopped, and that never happened again. And so then also, like I said, we were going to counseling and stuff, and she admitted it to the counselor that she was doing that, and the counselor said, do you know why that was wrong and why you shouldn't be doing that? And she said yes, she understood the counselor. And so then after that, there was one time where there was the door, there was the washing room, and there was the door, and the door was like not that wide. It was like a regular door by the washing machine, and she had went through there while my husband was standing there like this, leaning on it, and she had went through him like that, and she didn't say excuse me or anything. She just like went through there, and I didn't say nothing the first time because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't just seeing things anymore, you know, since that time at the store. I wanted to make sure that I was seeing things more than once to make sure I was positive that what I was seeing was right. So then she did it another time, I think, that same day, and I told her, no, that needs to stop. That doesn't happen. We don't do that. Anything can happen, you know, like I had to try to explain to her and let her know what could happen and why we don't do that, those kind of things. And she would say she understood, and so she would stop. My husband didn't understand it, and he just said, like, these are my kids, like, I want her to be just like the same as my boys. And I'm like, I understand that, but it can't be like that, because this is a child that, you know, comes from a hard background, and maybe I shouldn't have thought like that. Maybe that shouldn't have been in my mind at the time, because maybe that's what made it rough for all of us too. Maybe I should have just forgot about what she had been through, what she had saw, you know. But it was really hard. I don't know. The counselors tell you different. The counselors tell you to be aware of things as well. The counselor knew exactly what I had been through and how I got molested, and she would tell my husband things that he needed to be doing and what both of them needed to be doing and what they needed to be telling me and stuff. And while I was at school, that they shouldn't be hanging around with each other too much, because I needed the security to know that everything was okay. They didn't listen to the counselor. They didn't care about my feelings. I think this is how I feel. I don't think they cared about how I felt or what I went through or what I was going through still. I think they just wanted to think in their mind too that they were normal and nothing was going to happen, and for me to think that way. All in reality, it was hard to be like that because, like I said, when you get molested, no one understands. No one understands the severity of it. No one understands what it does to you and what it still does to you and how it affects you then and how it affects you now. You know, like 1991, we're in 2019, right? It still affects me. I have PTSD from it. We're in the process of adoption. I'm reliving the things that you did to me, or he did to me now, even, you know? So, yeah, why are you talking about it, Janelle? This is why I'm talking about it. So people can understand that it's not just something that goes away. You forgive, you forget, and it goes away forever, and you'll never think about it, or it'll never be in your mind or anything. Yeah, I live with it every day, like I said. It's hard. I used to be walking my dog, and I couldn't even walk my dog because there's some sickos just staring at me all freaky and all weird, you know? And I have to come home because I'm in a panic, and I start shaking and freaking out like they're coming to get me, so I have to leave. I can't even walk my dog if I don't have my husband with me to walk him, or anybody else to walk with me. You know, sometimes I go to the grocery store, even before we were going to adopt a little girl. And I couldn't even do that sometimes because you're worried and you're looking around, making sure no one's around you because you're in a panic, you're scared, you're worried about some guy or some pervert coming behind you or doing something to you, or who knows, you know, whatever the case may be. This is why I'm sharing this story, and this is why I'm sharing it now, because I need everybody to understand that it was so hard to adopt a child when you go through something, this trauma that has affected me since 1991 till now. And then you're in a process of an adoption and you think everything is going to go good and smooth and you have nothing to worry about. Because you've already forgot about this guy. You haven't thought about this guy or anything. But all of a sudden, the trauma comes back into your life and you have to relive the sick, disgusting bastard, what he did to you at 11. To relive it. And that person behind you is the girl that you want to adopt so she could become your daughter. Yeah. Why are you talking about it? This is why. And not just because of that, but because I wasn't the only one affected by it. She was, my husband was, and my 2 twin boys were too. They were living here. And it affected us all, not just me. You did this for a lot of people not to be able to be affected by. My husband don't like it. He hates it. He hates him for doing what he did to me. He hates him. And that's a strong word, everybody says, right? Everybody says, well, why didn't you hit him? Why didn't you bite his penis off? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? People shouldn't even ask those questions or even say such a thing because you don't know. You weren't in the situation. You don't know nothing about anything. Because I froze. I froze. I was like frozen. And I had just woken up to it in my mouth. Like, how are you going to hit or bite? You're in a sleep. You wake up to it. You know? So people shouldn't even say that kind of stuff because you don't know until you're in that situation. Then ask yourself that question or something because that's not how it is. Counselor told everybody, you know, how to make me feel secure because my uncle, my aunt, like I said, you know, I didn't say nothing to her because I didn't want her to lose her baby. I wanted to save that child's life that was in her stomach. So that's why I didn't say nothing. If she wouldn't have been pregnant, I probably would have said, you know, I would have probably came out with my mouth and said, but I didn't say nothing because I was worried and concerned about that child she was carrying. I wanted to save that child's life. So I didn't say nothing to her. But it made everything so hard on us and hard on me to just be able to live here and be able to be in the process of adoption. And I couldn't even do that because I was so concerned and so worried about what if this were to happen to me or happen to her. I mean, happen to her like my uncle did to me. And I couldn't understand it. I didn't like it. I felt awful, you know. I hated it. But I was so scared that every night that I would go to sleep and I had school in the morning, you know. Even though I went to school for 3 days and I had school in the morning and I wasn't going to be here the whole day. Because, you know, my uncle had my aunt to have sex with, right? So why wasn't he having sex with her at the time? No, he decided to go into that room that night for 3 times in that time I was staying there. So every time that little girl was here and we were in the process of adoption, I would think sometimes, like, what if that were to happen? What if he were, yeah, we have sex, but that didn't stop my uncle. So what makes me think that's going to stop him, you know? Maybe, you know, it'll happen. When I go to sleep, maybe that'll happen. It was so hard sometimes to go to sleep, but I had to make myself go to sleep and understand that that wasn't going to happen. And I would have to tell myself and talk to myself and, you know, pray to God to let me be able to trust in you. You. Not my husband, not anybody, but you. So everything could be okay. And I would finally go to sleep and I was fine. You know, and the counselor would tell my husband, you need to tell her and be secure that, okay, I'll be in bed at this time and this time. And get to bed and make sure she feels secure. And you too, you make sure that she's secure too with saying things and letting her know, you know, while she's at school that how much time you guys are spending together, because you shouldn't be spending too much time with each other, right? So she would tell us, you know, what to do and how to make everybody feel good in this relationship, this family. But it wasn't happening because my husband stopped doing that. And I was at school and, you know, one day, I don't know what or how, but she was like, I guess she asked my husband about lying, and he said, yeah, well, if we don't tell her the truth, then we are lying to her. So she had told me one day that she had been lying to me, that they were spending more time than what she was telling me. And I kind of figured, I knew, you know, I'm not like dumb. I'm not a dumb person. I knew, but I just didn't know when they were going to tell me. I didn't bother them, you know. So she finally came out and admitted and told me, and I was hurt. I was so hurt by it because it was like they were saying, you know, here's the bird. F you and F your feelings and F what happened to you. So it just really broke my heart. And I just couldn't trust them anymore. I was like hurt with them. I was angry with both of them for a while. I, you know, told both of them that I would, you know, I was so hurt with them. I was hurt with what they did to me, and it was like F them and F me, I mean, and they didn't care about what happened to me. But, you know, how can anybody understand what you went through or what you're going through if it's never happened to them? They don't understand. You know, so I understand that little bit, but come on, we're still going to counseling, they're telling you, and you're still not giving a shit about me and what I'm going through and what I need help with, you know? So, yeah, I was hurt about that. Slipping in through the doorway, he didn't see the wrong with her, you know, throwing the popcorn in his private area. He didn't see no wrong with him thinking like this was not a normal child, and he thought in his head this was a normal child, and he wasn't going to stop and go out of his way to change anything. He just wanted to treat her like it was just whatever, when I think he should have put more consideration into how I felt, though, about everything and what I went through and the trauma that happened to me. and he didn't, so that made it hard. But also talking about G-Man 5338, dang, like, I've listened to him. Like I said, you know, I thought I seen what I seen, okay, guys? Like, when I seen them at the store, when I seen them the next time at the store, and they told me they weren't doing that, that never happened, her hand never went on his arm or whatever, when I turned around, that never happened, that I was hallucinating, I was crazy, I'm going loca. I didn't want to believe that at the time, because I thought I seen what I seen. I didn't want to hear that you're crazy. No one wants to hear that when, you know, you've been through so much trauma. You have PTSD now. No one wants to hear that. No one wants to be put down when you've went through so much tragic and trauma in your life that you're really going through it now, and no one's caring about you and caring about the main person that got affected by it. Who gives a shit about that person, you know? Like, you're crazy, and talking to each other saying I'm crazy, and that, oh my gosh, I'm like the horrible person when I'm not around, and them two talking to each other behind my back. And then when I get together with my husband, he's saying, well, I just told him that, I just told her that you were going crazy, you were on your craziness again, or whatever. But, you know, all in reality, that's not no way to talk to a little teen girl about stuff or anything like that, or understanding. I think my husband should have been understanding at the beginning to the end, and always standing and sticking by my side, and not bashing me or putting me down like that and saying I'm crazy when he didn't even understand the reality of any of it. Not even me being molested, not even about the thing that I had to relive and what I had to relive in when she was here. You know, I don't think it was fair, but coming to reality to understand and believe that my husband wasn't like that, because I couldn't be putting a label on him because my uncle did what he did to me. So I had to understand that my husband wasn't a pervert like that. Like, all in reality, I don't think my husband was sick or like that, or does like little girls. He likes little girls to like him, be their uncle or their dad, but not like him like sick like that, you know? So it took me a while to realize all this stuff, like, to finally sit down and think to myself, like, you know, I gotta trust him. Like, this is my husband, this is my best friend, this is my soulmate, this is the one that I want to be with for the rest of my life. He makes me happy, you know? So I had to tell myself that my husband wasn't a sicko. My husband was not my uncle. I had to tell myself that plenty of times every day, you know, to understand that, and to always trust in God. Like, trust in God, because he will be there for you, to be able to trust him. He's the only person that you could really trust. So I had to put my trust in God in order to be able to live and be in this marriage, you know? And then listening to G-Man 5338, when he started talking about mental health Mondays, I started listening to him and started to realize that, wow, you really hallucinate? Like, I didn't understand, like, you really hallucinate through everything? So, like, when my husband was saying I was hallucinating and that I'm crazy, I didn't want to believe that, because I didn't know that I was really hallucinating. I thought I was seeing things that I was seeing, and that was it. I didn't know that you really hallucinate, and like, it really goes back into that far, that deep into your PTSD. I didn't know. I didn't even understand about PTSD. I didn't even know I had it. I didn't even know anybody can have it if they went through any kind of trauma. I thought military, army, when they went into the army and there was trauma there, and they were hearing all these bombs and whatever, and that's who had it. Never me, never thought me until then. And when he was talking about how we don't trust our own spouse, I was like, wow, I didn't trust my spouse at the time and a point in my life. And then he didn't make me even try to trust him, what he was doing while, you know, she was here, living here with us. So that was hard for me. So yeah, I didn't trust him for a time. I didn't trust her for a time. You know, and I had to like really talk to myself every day and understand it. And then when he said too that we hallucinate and it brings you back to this part of your life. And so I finally had to realize that I was hallucinating at the store. I didn't see what I thought I saw at all. That never happened. I hallucinated that time, and I hallucinated at the other time. But who wants to admit you're crazy and hallucinating at the time? No one wants to admit it until you finally come into the reality and understand that, wow, this is what, until you have to really realize what PTSD is and how it affects you and what it does to you and what it causes on a person that has went through that kind of trauma when I was 11, you know. So finally I came into realization and hearing, you know, G-Man, like, wow, I love him for his mental health Mondays. I like that he talks about things. I'm like that he explains things, because like I never knew any of that. I never went to counseling, because every time I tried to go to counseling when I was young, it was like, what's his name so we could lock him up? What's his name so we could lock him up, you know? And so I never was able to stay in counseling, you know. This counselor that we were going to while we were in the process of adoption, she wasn't really trying to counsel us too much, you know, a little bit, but it was about how to be a parent to this little girl, not about my PTSD. So I didn't understand any of it. I didn't understand why it was happening, why things were happening the way they were happening, why I was hallucinating. I didn't even know about that stuff or anything. So when I started hearing him talk about it and talk about what has happened to him, I'm like, dang, I was hallucinating. That never happened, you know. I was thinking these things, I guess, and that's crazy, you know. So maybe I was going crazy at the time. Now I could admit it, you know. I was crazy at the time. I was hallucinating at the time. But at that time, I didn't want to hear them because I didn't understand it and I didn't know. Now, listening to him talk about it and talk about how we can't even trust our own husband or our own wives, that's what was happening to me. But now that I know better, and I know now, I know that I was hallucinating at those times and those incidents that happened. The other stuff, no, I wasn't hallucinating about those. Those were happening, and she was admitting to it. And then also, they were saying, you know, I was going crazy. I don't think that people should say you're going crazy. It's just something that has happened to you where you think that, oh my gosh, this is going to happen again. What if it does? You know, like you start to really freak out, like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be my aunt. I don't want to be that person that's going to stay with this sicko, you know. But you really love this person with all your heart, that you don't want to let this happen or let this go because you're like really in love with this man. And wow, what if this man is sick like that? The love of your life, well, it's going to ruin everything for you. Like he's going to ruin your love, your trust, everything. And it was devastating to think like that, but that's what I thought. And to know now and to understand it now, it's just like, dang, I wish I would have known this before all this happened to me. So when people ask, why are you talking about it? This is why I'm talking about it. Because it's hard. If you've gotten molested and you're in a process of adoption or you have kids, be careful, because PTSD, you could have PTSD. It might have not affected you in all these years, but something could have happened. If this little girl wouldn't have came into our lives and lived with us and we weren't on the process of adoption, I would never know I have PTSD. I would have never known, you know. And I'm thankful and I'm grateful that she was here and she moved in with us and we were in the process of an adoption, you know. I'm glad, because I was able to find out about PTSD. Like listening to G-Man 5338. If you guys struggle with PTSD, guys, and you guys can listen to him, click on his channel and go and show him some love and let him know that J Girl Beauty send you guys over there. Tell him hi for me, because it's helped me a lot and helped me understand about PTSD. It's really helped me a lot. Like, I haven't went to a counselor or anything. I just listened to him and you know, and he just, I think, hit like 1,000K. So he's all excited. I'm happy for you, bro. Congratulations on that. But I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here. You guys, like I said, you guys don't want to miss a video. I'm gonna be talking on my next video about the time I had a panic attack at school, and if we ended up adopting this little teen or not. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you'll never miss a video. I also do makeup tutorials on my channel, like I said. I just did a Halloween video on Venom, and we did a candy corn video on my channel as well. Guys, make sure you guys follow me on Instagram, at jgirlbeauty. Also follow me on Snapchat, jgirlbeauty. I also, I'm going to put another link on the description box, so if you guys are new here and you guys don't know the story of what I started talking about, so you guys can watch that video as well. It's the first one about my background story of what happened to how I was treated as a child growing up. And then the next video is a family member molesting me and me telling my parents and me getting kicked in the stomach while I was pregnant. And never forget, te amo muchísimo.